What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. We got AJ in the house. Good morning to you. Good morning to Amy, Anna, Andy, Bill, Cindy. Good morning, Gus. Gus is a new name. What's going on, Gus? Let me know if you just joined with us. That'd be cool. Keith, good morning to you. Good morning to Lauren, Lou, Lucian, Lydia, Martina, Rick, Rob's in the house. Good morning to you. Good morning to Tim. Wendy's rocking with us as well. We got Tim in the house. Good morning to you. We got Hostile in YouTube land. We got Leonard in YouTube land. Mustafa, Amanda saying good morning. Mustafa says Jerome on every screen today. Jerome Powell. That would be. I mean, he don't come out till tomorrow, so they're just showing some reruns. I think. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure, but yeah, we got some tickers coming in. We got some earnings last night. We got Palantir, and we'll see what the market wants to do. But for right now. Market is gapping down. So let's take a look real quick at the last couple candles. Number one, not a great spot that we're gapping into. You do have a little support below you to the downside, which we've pretty much hit back on May 1st, so the first day of this month. That would take us to like 557.75. One right past that would be an interesting support. 556.41. That also takes us right into that 50 EMA on the chart. So I think that's a decent support. Should hold for today. If we start breaking down, the next level is 554.77. That first support, 557.75, not loving it too much. Just because we've been there, it's a little bit easy to break. Would be interesting to see if we could break that down. However, question is, how do we get there? Yesterday's candle was a green candle. Just don't get confused with a gap and go. It's not a gap and go candle. This one, price open and closed all below yesterday's essentially open and closing price as well. So, if you had money in the market on Friday and you kept it in the SPY by Monday, even though this candle's green, you're down on your position. So this is technically a little bit of a retest gap. I'd be curious to see if we retest first before hitting some of those levels. We'll kind of have to see how this market wants to play out, but look for some kind of a bounce, I think, to like 560.59, and then that'd be a decent level. I think if we get it up to like 561.48 would be a much better spot. And then you do have your 200. So if we're doing a full on retest, I don't think, unless we get some kind of Trump news or something else happens during the day, I don't think we'd be looking for this 565.20. That'd be impressive for the Bulls to get past that 200, get past the opening price of yesterday, get past the closing price of yesterday, just to come in for a retest. So I don't think we hit that VPOC for today. Um, you have one other one over here too. Maybe that's a target. You still got to get above your 200, and Bulls have to have some kind of solid effort into to all of this. What did we end up actually doing yesterday? It was a gap and go, and we were a little suspicious of this one, just opening into some kind of support. All we really did, it just took a long time to get there. Most of the day, it looked like we were just trying to go bullish, trying to go bullish. In reality, we were just coming up to retest the prior days, the Fridays VPOC. We hit it perfectly, started to sell off from that point. So I think it took up until the last roughly 50 minutes of the day of just trying to go bullish, 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 and then eventually, as soon as we hit that, the last 45 minutes, 50 minutes a day was just a rough sell off into it. So I think we still have the bearish sentiment coming from Monday to start this week. I think all of this was a retest. I like our odds to the downside. But again, be careful of this one. I think you probably get the retest first. I'm hoping you get the retest first. That would get us much better risk reward to the downside. So I would be leaning bearish today. However, question is when. I don't love this location to go short. Much rather short a little bit higher if we could. We got the Qs. Qs, same thing. So yesterday was a gap and go, failed gap and go. Essentially just kind of coming in, well, opening at decent support, coming in, perfect little retest. Today on the Qs, you got some room to the downside, but back from March 20th, some of those days, 21st, 20th, the 19th, the 14th, you have good support being built. We're just sitting on top of that too. So that would kind of build out the case too that this is technically, even though it's a green candle, a little bit of a retest gap. Maybe we get bought up again first. This one, I think probably a likely chance that we probably hit that 200, which is sitting somewhere at 482.45, and then an impressive head fake and bull trap would take us to like 483.50, and then see if we come down from there. So again, I like it to the downside. However, that's a decent support we're opening. If we end up breaking, I think somewhere around 478.88, there's a lot of room to the downside to like 475.10. Maybe we close this gap, we come into like 473.84 somewhere. So that's where I'll be looking for today. Again, I think we're leaning to the bear side a little bit. The question is, how do we get there, and how do we get the best risk reward? So I'm hoping we get some buy the dippers coming in early today. We will see. Take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin also uh, hanging in there. You do have a little bit of not quite a 3 bar reversal. We're gonna have to do a 3 bar plus one reversal. So if this candle we open up here, took us 4 candles to get right back into the zone. A lot of price action there. So over the last 4 days, kind of gave us a little bit of a warning sign. And right now we are below this green candle. So that's not a great spot to be for Bitcoin. Still relatively high considering where we were a couple weeks ago, 77,500, but a little bit of a potential warning sign for at least a little bit of a pullback. Support not too far away on this one. So I have support sitting somewhere at 93 to 94. We'll probably get some kind of a bounce there. You're also going to have some pressure from some of the moving averages, maybe holding it up, but that's still even the 20, little bit far extended. So my line in the sand, we're not quite there yet. Bitcoin might have some more room to the downside by a little bit, 93,368 if we start breaking that. Um, we only have a few moving levels or averages to hold us up. Otherwise, we're probably looking closer to this 90,987. So we'll see. All right, we got some tickers coming in, and the one that was the big one yesterday is Palantir. So everybody's watching this monstrosity of a stock that just, yeah, I mean, I think a third grader with a crayon and a glue stick could redraw this double top perfectly. So you do have a good double top into earnings. You have obviously a retail favorite stock, but just looking at valuations again, it's a tradable stock for me. It's not an investing stock for me at this level, even though the report was good, the earnings were good. The growth, I think, was 39% year over year, so pretty solid growth. The margins, I think, actually increased to a little bit better. Dan Ives was on CNBC. He's talking about possibly this being a $1 trillion company, which I do agree with. I think he's correct in $1 trillion company. I think he's a little off on his time frame. He's saying about 2 to 3 years. I think you need closer to 5+ years to get there, but you're paying a hefty price to invest into Palantir as a trader, as a day trader. Looking at this, um, it was just a good report into a already priced in move that just went from 88.80 all the way up to 125 in the matter of a couple weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks maybe. Yeah, about 2 weeks. So that right now pulling back. I don't know. This one trades wild. We'll see if the retailers step in. I was looking for somewhere around 1010 for the balance, 1010 40ish. Let's see if we got there after hours at all. Uh, we got down to like 112, looks like the low. So I didn't quite get to my next support after hours quite yet. Probably still a target. You are definitely trapping some decent amount of bulls on this one. For the bullish case, if I think we get some kind of a bounce, I would have liked to see this one open somewhere closer to 115.13. That might be an interesting spot for a short, and probably start looking somewhere around 114.72. But we're on the wrong side of the support, so that should be resistance. Next target for me probably takes me into this 110.40, 110.19 zone, and then we'll see if that selling just kind of picks up. People start freaking out, dumping their Palantir. We'll see. But next spot after that, probably about 107.93. It's there. It's kind of weak, and then probably down to this 105.66. They were expecting, I think it was a 15% move, um, if I'm not mistaken. So nowhere close to that move. So if anybody bought calls or puts, they're probably going to get a little devalued today. Calls probably smoked, puts probably still losing a little value. So if you sold calls, puts, you probably lock some gains in on Palantir for today. We will see. But otherwise, yeah, a little bit more room to go. I would like a move probably a little bit higher first, 114.50-ish, somewhere in that zone to 115, and then that's probably a better spot just for better risk reward in this trade. Unless you just absolutely hate Palantir and think this thing is going to drop past 110.19 today, take it to the next level, then you're opening at a good. You could probably set a good trade right now. Other than that, yeah, I gotta kind of wait on this one a little bit. Little bit. Let some of those bulls that buy everything start to come in. Thoughts on Hood and Bull? Hood and Bull. Um, Hood and Bull. I don't love the location we're opening at. I can't ignore this candle. This this gap up. I believe this was on earnings. You had a nice open or run into like 51.11. Yeah, open at 51.11-ish. We did not hold that first support, which is not great. Somewhere around 49.09. I would have expected probably still a retest gap. I think this got a little overdone. So that's telling me that there's probably not as many eager bulls in Hood, and we're just kind of selling the rips. Other than that, good hammer from yesterday. Still really inside this candle. And then the spot I'd be looking for is about 47, 48 for some kind of support. 2 days in a row, we got a close above it. So I think there's some hopium. However, today's open is under all of that. So let's see if you get a little bit of a retest. I think the better spot to short on this one, 47.41. To the downside, I'm not quite sure. There's a lot of room in it. You got 45.39 is the next big support on this one. Um, so I would probably do nothing on this one at open unless it either drops down to that 45.53 and we take a swing at maybe trying to play the inverse type trade. Or again, better yet would be if we could, and I don't know what the market's going to give us, but if we could get 47, 41, somewhere up in that zone for the short, that would be a good spot to look to start to look short all the way up until like 48.04. Much better risk reward if that happens. Otherwise, you're smack in the middle between a really big resistance and a pretty decent looking support. Anything past 45.39, ultimately, I think you do have this gap fill from April 22nd, and I think that'd be in the cards to get that fill first, which would take you to about 42.45. So slightly into the bear side. That to get down there, I think that's a swing trade. I don't think we get there today unless, I don't know, we'll see what happens in the market. This market can make some big moves, but more or less, I'd be expected to be in that for a couple days. However, keep in mind we do have Jerome Powell tomorrow, and maybe he shakes things up and changes some of this early week bearish sentiment that we have kind of coming in to start this week. We got Bull. I know you guys are loving Bull. I did take a decent trade on it yesterday. It moves quick. Or no, it actually kind of moves slow, but it just moves massive increments at a time. Other than that, very, very good candle that came in on Friday. So not bad there. You're still above support, somewhere around 1392. I think if you want to take a stab at this one, you want it as close as possible to that uh, 14 zone, we'll call it. Maybe 1392, somewhere around into that zone. So yesterday came back for the retest. That's where I was buying it. I think I got like 1510 or something like that. And then I ended up selling it like, I don't know, 1670. So just kind of held it throughout the day. I was thinking about holding it a little bit longer. Kind of glad I didn't because it kind of came back. I would have actually been down on the position. But pre-market for today, it is gapping up. That is the candle I think you want to stay above, which is also right at your 200. So in a longer term time frame, if you like this one at IPO, which I'm not sure what day that was it the Friday? Yeah, it was the Friday. They opened very IPO'd very sneakily, and then over the weekend they had this big monster move. So if you felt like you missed it, this is a good opportunity to essentially be getting it close to IPO pricing. As long as we're holding at 200, I could kind of agree that there could be a decent swing in here. Next immediate resistance, probably about 17.16. We got very close to that yesterday, and then you got $19.48 up to like 21.03 would be your next range for Bull. But I think it looks good. I think it's got potential. I think Bull stepped in kind of where they had to, and all of yesterday was just inside day, still holding that support. Maybe we could. I don't know how hard this one's gonna be to day trade though. Yesterday was I did day trade it, but it was just buy kind of hold. I didn't even have stops. I was just like, okay, I'm up a decent amount on it, so let me just close it. And it turned out to be good timing. But we'll watch it for a day trade. I just haven't traded it. There's definitely some volume that's piling in, and a lot of people watching it. Amazon AMZN. Bijal says I had puts from Friday in SPY. Those are probably looking pretty healthy. Um, Not that there's any scientific reasoning behind this, but I had one of my friends text me over the weekend. I think it was like Sunday around, I don't know, 12 noon something. Goes, how do you think the market's going to look this week? So I was thinking about it. I was like, well, strong week, probably Monday, Tuesday to the downside. And then I think the momentum probably piles back into the bull side Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So far, that's playing out. We'll see how the rest of the week plays out, especially with Jerome Powell. And we could even, I was thinking, I was like, maybe I should try to play that theory that I just had, where maybe I buy some calls today. But we could also open lower tomorrow, freak some people out, and then we look for Jerome Powell to put the superhero cape on. So I probably won't do anything overnight tonight. And then if we gap down tomorrow, probably look to maybe take a shot at some calls or something like that. We got Amazon is hanging into where it still has to be 183.79. That's going to be a monster support for this one. Otherwise, on a daily time frame, I don't have any reason to really buy it off of that spot quite yet. Smaller time frame, look for 184.54, 184.78. I think this one looks a little bit choppy. This is also a retest gap too. I'd like this thing to stay above 183.72. Let's see if this one does a hammer. Let's see if this one ends up breaking that level, starts holding 182.99. We get a bounce and then a close over 183.72. That would be interesting on a Amazon going forward from here. Then if we could get above that hammer. Other than that, you had some decent volume pile in on some of those gap ups that didn't really hold too well. You're kind of below all of those candles. So right now the bears pretty much back into control on Amazon. But we're right into a big chop zone. Really, if this thing could open above 184.45, you might have a shot for the retest. Otherwise, I think Amazon might just be a little a little choppy for me, somewhere in this range. GLD. Yep, GLD made a nice little pop today too. Getting close back to the all-time highs. This one is a strong retest gap. Gold works a little bit differently than individual names. Usually, if you're buying gold, you're the ETF is a little bit different because it's a little more liquid. But if you're bullish on gold, you're buying the physical asset with an intention to hold it for a while. That being said, you do have some bulls profitable on this gap up. You might get some kind of a pullback into like 311.30 if this ETF wants to work like a regular stock. However, it gaps frequently, like every day. Almost there's a gap on this one. Big resistance on this one is 315.72. If we start climbing it above it, you do have the opening price of this candle from April 22nd. That's going to be your next resistance. Not a lot of volume up there. So for me, I would think that somewhere, if we close anywhere, we'll call it 316 and keep a nice, even, flat number. But if we close anywhere 316 or higher, that's going to be my case that the gold push is still happening, and you probably will go higher from here. Otherwise, that would be a good resistance somewhere around 315.72, 75, somewhere in that range. If you get up there, we start to fail again. That could look a little double topish, and maybe at that bigger pullback that potentially could come in. But really good gap for anybody holding gold. Really nice move on that one. MSTR. We know Bitcoin has a little bit more room to the downside before we really hit the support on that one. MSTR is technically, again, it's a green candle, but it is if you held it from Friday into Monday, you're down. So even though it's a green candle, this should act as a little bit more of a retest. Depending on where this one opens, you're right at the spot to dance, just slightly below it. For much of a retest, I would say you'd want to stay above 380.33. Other than that, we are opening below it with a lot of room to the downside, all the way into like 369. That gives us about $10 move, 369.10. If that breaks, which we've retested that before, I still think for today that should be some support there. Otherwise, I got room to like 361.55 for a little bit of a bigger pullback. So for right now, it looks a little rough. Again, crypto's going to move based off of what Jerome Powell says tomorrow. So if you're taking out a swing, just be aware of that. He could come in, he could do something. I don't think he raises rates tomorrow. The market's not really pricing it in if he does. Plus, I think he's in a little tough of a position where Trump is calling him the world's biggest loser or whatever the comments were. And he does want to have the Treasury look to appear separate than politics. So now, if he does come in and lower rates tomorrow, I think it looks kind of like he's caving into politics, and I think he's trying to avoid that as much as possible. So I think we don't get the rate cut tomorrow. The real question for Jerome Powell tomorrow, and we'll cover a little bit more of this tomorrow, but the real question for him is how he signals for the June cut. Keep in mind, as much as like even last week and a half ago, it was highly expected that we get the rate cut in June. Now the market's kind of pulling back a little bit on the theory that's saying maybe we don't get those rate cuts. And I think that's where Jerome Powell is going to be important tomorrow to see how he signals for most likely, or he just goes data dependent again. We know nothing. And then I think the market starts to worry again a little bit. So we'll have to see how that plays out for the June, for how his wording is, what the comments are, and go from there. But if it's looking positive where there's a rate cut, I would expect everything crypto to rise from that point, and MSTR will probably benefit greatly from that rate cut signaling at least. Other than that, for a day trade, it does look a little bit weak today. Maybe get some better pricing if you do want to try to go long on this thing. But for today, I'd probably remain a little bit to the bear side for this one. Trying to send him to Alcatraz or El Salvador. It's good real estate property though. Yeah, it's like he's going to turn Alcatraz into Mar-a-Lago-esque, I've heard. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. There's gonna be flowers and a golf course. It's my guess. I'm not sure. We got HIMS. So HIMS had a decent report. They did beat by 65% on earnings per share. They came in with a 47.42 million beat to the higher side. So again, if you're sitting there asking, how come we have Palantir with good earnings? How come we have HIMS with good earnings? Palantir also raised guidance. HIMS, their guidance was a little weaker, so they have a little bit of an asterisk. But you had a nice run into earnings already, and that seems to be the play. You get that nice run into earnings. It doesn't really matter unless something incredible happens. You have a little bit of a pullback, profit taking in this market, telling me that there is still sell the rip type scenarios or sentiment into this market. Other than that, it's a fairly good retest gap from yesterday. Again, earnings weren't bad. I don't know if this is the exact spot I'd be looking to go long on this retest. If it shows up with a high wave candle, I can make a case to go bullish on this one. We would have to, the bottom of that wick has to be somewhere close to 37.45 though for that high wave to play out for me. Otherwise, we get down to that level, we start breaking through it. I think you have a better spot, 35.83, 35.20. Again, we've already sold off a decent amount on this one. If you were short, you made money, you're probably taking some gains. You are holding into one level of VPOC. It's all the way from back in March 4th. We've hit this a couple times, but there is a little support here. So HIMS, I would not mind looking to go long as a retest. I'm going to add this one to the chart. We'll get this one up a little bit higher as well. So he's going to play politics to keep from looking like he's playing politics. He said he wasn't playing politics before, but all of a sudden, right before the election, you had the 50-point rate cut, the highest one in history that came out. I don't know. I don't know. Is he playing politics? I'm not quite sure. I did see another ticker, and I completely forgot what I was looking at now. Let me see. Which ones did I miss? Tesla from Levi, bringing the good old Tesla EV, aka bots, aka automation, aka if you believe it, you could achieve it. You have Tesla with a rough looking gap down, so I'm not a huge fan of this one. For a bounce. Would like this thing to open above 273.59 to play the retest on this one, which I think that retest would take you into the targets of 277.89. And stretch target for today would be 280.67 to go bullish. Other than that, I'd be cautious on bullish at open. I think your better spot to look at for some kind of a bounce at this point would be 268.27. That's the zone I was looking at yesterday, and we just didn't quite get down there. I said if we break this 275 zone, I'm looking for 268, and we are below 275. So keep in mind, even if we go to small time frame from yesterday, we did get a nice looking bounce right at 275-ish. So maybe that's the spot where we have a little bit of resistance, at least pre-market VPOC, which we have not retested yet. Well, we kind of did. Kind of broke, retested once. Not sure even if we get up there, but I kind of like it to the short side for another couple dollars, $4 to the downside, if this market wants to keep on selling. The next extended target after that one would take us into like 264.47. So not loving it short, just based on risk reward. I wish we could get in higher. I would not be shocked if this thing opens and just starts dropping. So we'll see how that plays out. But give me some kind of a high wave candle. Maybe we go short on that one as well. So basically, moral of the story is we're looking like we're still leaning to the short side of things. Just the after hours in pre-market already kind of took care of a lot of that. So now we don't have as good risk to reward. Real Virtual Demand says, great to be here as always, Tariff Wars. Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but that's not new news. Yeah, we've been kind of, yeah, I don't know if you were also in Bermuda for the last maybe 2 months, or at least last 100 days. But yeah, no, we're kind of in this tariff war type situation. Yeah, so you might have to just refresh your browser, and they might they might update you on that. But yeah, we're still going back and forth. Keep in mind, we're still in that 90-day pause period. All kidding aside, we're still in that 90-day pause period, so we don't have any deals yet. The big one is China. If we have a deal with China, great. But we don't even have the smaller deals coming in yet. And we still have some time on it. I think we have another 70 days, slightly under 70 days left of the 90-day pause, and then we go from there. We got to figure out how this thing wants to play out. And not only that, but it looked like it was calming down until Hollywood just got all taxed too or tariffed. So we'll see how that wants to play out. Let's take a look real quick at NVIDIA. NVIDIA is gapping down. That's not a great open. Give me 1 second for all these lines to kind of load. I don't know why it's NVIDIA all the time. It's the worst one. They just never give me lines. They're not going to give me anything. But you do have some risk reward, maybe for looks like we're kind of below that candle at this point. This one looks short to me at the moment. Looks like we probably run into, I would have about 110.40, and then we have big support somewhere down at like this 108 zone, 107.50. But that looks like a rough open for NVIDIA. AMD, again, it's already down a lot on NVIDIA. AMD looks a lot more bearish. See if we come in for a little bit of a retest on this one. Right now, it does look bearish, and you probably got some room into about 96.25 to the downside. Other than that, that is the morning bell. So everybody in YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe buttons if you're not done so already. You guys are incredible. Tomorrow's a big day. Lots of news, and all throughout the week, there's a lot of earnings. So we'll have